Yeah, it's hard enough to keep your clients happy.
Right.
Some money is better than no money.
They were like in a row.
Yeah.
They were like, nope, that didn't
Nobody
work.
lasted.
I am. I'm kind to my clients and they give me leads.
Right.
So this is when I accidentally became a team.
Okay. Did y'all ever take a team photo?
Never. 2 ways to skin a cat.
Hi, y'all. Welcome to Hustle Humbly. It's Alyssa and Katie, and we are 2 top producing realtors in the Baton Rouge market.
We work for 2 different companies where we should be competitors, but we have chosen community over competition.
The goal of our podcast is to encourage you to find your own way in business.
So stop comparing yourself and start embracing your strengths.
Hi, Alyssa.
Hey, Katie.
How are you today?
Wonderful.
It's episode number 197.
Okay.
It is the middle of May.
Yeah.
Wow. And today we're going on a journey. A solo journey.
Our solo journey.
A journey all alone. But truly, you're never really solo.
No.
But that's
You always have support somewhere.
That's what we're going to talk about today. Your solo journey.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you want to start us off? I feel like this should be like a once upon a time.
Yeah, once upon a time. Well, we do get a lot of emails asking us about solo versus team. How should I think about starting a team? And we were like, well, we are 2 agents who have been in real estate over a decade and have never had a team. So we probably aren't the best people to speak to about
Not to
how
help
to
you make
start
a decision.
one. And we will, right, or how to make a decision or how to start one, because that hasn't been our journey.
Right.
But eventually we will have someone on the show
Yeah.
that we can ask them about how they did it and what they did and what their systems and processes looked like. But for today, we're just going to share
Our journey.
solo journey.
Good news. There'll be a twist in mine.
Oh,
So just wait.
oh gosh.
You know, but okay.
Oh, okay.
I love that you're like, what's going to happen? Like at the end, I'll be like, and I just started a team.
Yeah. I might be like, what?
No. Okay. All right. Do you want to just start us on yours or mine? Because I go further back in time.
Go further back in
Let's
time.
go deep into the mid 2000s.
Okay.
When I got my license in 2005, there were teams.
There were.
They existed.
Okay.
There were big teams, a lot of the old school style of team, which I don't know if our listeners know what this is or have heard of this, but it was basically a rainmaker.
Okay.
So a very established agent who had a lot of listings and as such got a lot of incoming leads because of the listings, would have buyer's agents beneath them, right? To field the leads that they got off of the listings they were producing. That's why it was called a rainmaker. Okay.
Okay.
Because they were making it rain. This is before even like rap, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't like Make It Rain was like a big rap song. It was like, that's what it's called. When
Right.
someone provides for others, you're a rainmaker.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, out of necessity, these very established, producing agents had too much business, right? Like you can't do it all. So they would have, agents underneath them that would take the leads off of their signs or be able to do their open houses. It was still very old school when I started. Okay. Remember, I was a very early adapter of the online lead. So yes, these things were starting to come around. Zillow did not exist. I want you guys to really let that sink in. Over half of real estate web traffic is now on Zillow.
Right.
There was no Zillow.
Mm-mm.
No Zillow. Okay. Or it was in the baby early phase. So I got some online leads, but my point is I started off solo. It wasn't as much in the, I guess the way people talked about getting into real estate that you were going to be a team. It just wasn't as common, right?
No. Yeah.
You would expect a team to be someone like that, a top producer who needed some help, and then they built this team. Now, were there some other versions of teams? Sure. There were some partnerships. There were some, husband-wife teams, that kind of stuff. Okay. So I start in a big office.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about this in the How to Choose a Broker episode, but I don't think I would start the same.
Mm-hmm.
It was too big for me.
Sure.
It was like over 150 people. It was a franchise. It was, I was a very small fish in a very big pond. Yes, I went and took advantage of education and things like that, but I didn't feel comfortable enough to seek the support I needed
Sure.
as a solo agent because I'm
Right.
all alone, just little old me in the pond, right?
Yeah.
That lasted 3 months.
Okay.
Okay, that was 2005. Um, by the end of 2005, I'm like, well, I'm either going to quit real estate or I'm going to have to make a change. And I ran into the guy who had sold me my house before I was a realtor. And he said, oh, why don't you come to my small office? I have a great broker. She'll train you. You'll love it. Whatever. I'm like, well, can't hurt to try. I already did all this work to get my license, right?
Mhm.
Still never sold anything. I went to the small boutique firm. There were about 6-ish agents and the broker, and it almost in some ways felt like a team,
Mhm.
right? Like she was busy producing, she would give me some leads, I got to shadow her, go on all of her appointments.
Would
That
you
was
pay her a referral on any leads or not
the
really?
couple that she gave me were like super low end listings. That those ones I specifically remember that she was like, I don't want to do these.
Right.
I don't need money from you. I mean,
Yes.
she's the broker, so I'm assuming she was getting something out of my split, but the company was
Yeah.
owned by actually probably not even allowed anymore, was owned by a mortgage company.
Oh,
So
interesting.
basically a local small mortgage company that's not in business anymore opened a boutique brokerage,
Oh,
like a
wow.
real estate brokerage.
Okay.
Okay. That was 2006. I was there for 8 months. And then I moved on to Remax. And I think I've mentioned this many times before. Our office was closing down. Our boutique brokerage was closing down. And my broker was going to this Remax office to be a solo agent. She wasn't going as a team, but we all just sort of went with her,
Mhm.
like at least a portion of it wasn't a big office anyway. But I'm like, well, that's where you're going and you feel confident in that. I've been learning from you. I'll just go there too. So again, it felt teamish, but it wasn't a team.
Right,
Okay. Like
right.
she didn't guarantee me any leads. Like it was not a team. Okay. But we go to the Remax. And there is when I really began just being super solo, like
Okay.
not seeking a lot. Like I was just ready. Like I've closed some deals. Now we're like out on our own. And then from there, I was there until 2020. So
Yeah, they're a long
14
time.
years I was at that office
Wow.
solo. Now there's some twists and turns in there, but why don't we get some of yours?
Okay. When I got my real estate license in 2011, I was in undergrad at LSU.
Okay.
And I was involved in the LSU Student Real Estate Association.
I did not know
It
that
was new.
existed.
It was new at that time.
Okay.
I since went back and spoke to it a few
What
times.
did they do?
I think so now LSU offers some real estate classes
Okay.
and you can take different things, even appraisal type things. It doesn't really go towards a certification to be a realtor, but it's just for those interested
Like
in
who want
real
the knowledge?
estate.
Okay.
And so I've gone back and they meet like once a month and kind of just talk about what's going on in real estate. They have guest speakers from different avenues of commercial or property management or anything.
Okay.
So I've been back. I went and spoke to the group twice after I left as a speaker. But through that, if there was someone who needed an intern or something like that, you could ask LSU, do you have anyone that would be, you can submit
Right.
not your resume, but your job description
Yeah.
and see if anybody
Like a
was
job
interested.
posting.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was licensed in the process of finishing up taking the exam, and through that, heard about a realtor with Remax that was
Mhm.
looking for someone that I knew. I knew them. I had actually
Oh.
grown up with her daughter.
Okay.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I love her. I would love to work for her."
Okay.
Kind of just as an assistant.
Okay.
Um, and I was like, I would love to do that. It seemed like the hours would work around my schedule. And so I got a resume together and submitted it. And the day that I submitted it, she called me and was like, "Alyssa, I just hired somebody.
She's like, you would have been great.
And I was so upset. And looking back, I'm like, that could have changed the whole trajectory of everything.
100%.
Isn't that interesting?
Very.
So I never went to
You didn't.
I didn't get the position. She had
Right.
already hired someone. And so at that point, I had chosen I move on, I interview, I choose my company that I
Okay.
am with now. And I went to one of the top producing agents there and basically said, can I hold your houses open? What can I? And I did open houses for her pretty much every Sunday.
Okay.
Um, and so I was helping, but I wasn't really anybody's assistant. I
Yeah.
wasn't getting paid. I was trying to figure it out myself as a solo agent.
Was there, like, from your perspective, because that was then 2011, right?
Mhm.
How did you see a lot of teams? Did you consider that as an option? Why did you choose to go solo?
So it wasn't a huge talk either back in
Okay.
2011. The office that I landed at, still to this day, is more solo agent heavy.
Right.
They have a few teams, but it's really more catered to a solo agent.
Okay.
We do have some husband-wife teams.
Mhm.
We in our marketplace in Baton Rouge, we don't have any teams.
Yeah.
So we do have some in like
God, I never even thought about that.
not
Your
one.
office doesn't even have
We don't even
them.
have them. No,
Okay.
except for the one husband-wife team.
Okay.
But like in our Lafayette, Lake Charles offices, we do have some other teams, I would
Okay.
say. So, but in my office, we still just don't have any.
So when you interviewed brokers, that wasn't even really on your radar one way or the other, and then you ended up choosing an office that's not even part of the culture.
Right. I wasn't surrounded by it.
Yeah.
So it never
It
really
didn't occur to
came.
you.
Correct.
Got it.
So then I was, making my way, getting started in my business every Monday morning. I think that sustained me as a solo agent because every Monday morning we had our Monday morning meeting. It was the
Right.
new agent meeting where we sat around the table and just supported each other.
Right.
And I heard what they were going through and they listened to what I was going through. And we kind of just came up with a game plan of what's working, what's
Yeah.
not working.
Yeah.
Let's work our way through this.
Right.
So it was just me. And then by year 2 and 3, I'm starting to see the business finally happening.
Yeah.
It's starting to happen. I'm not having to work quite as much on producing it because
Yeah.
it's starting to happen and I can be busy working.
Right.
Which was, gosh, thank goodness that finally
Right.
happened.
It takes a while to turn that corner.
Mm-hmm. But with that, I just never was asked to be on anybody's team or anything like that.
Okay.
I wasn't really even the idea of a team was never even put into my mind until I started producing bigger numbers.
Right. And then people are like, why aren't you the team leader?
Right. Why aren't you on a team? Are you going to start your own brokerage? Like those questions
Yeah.
started coming.
Yeah.
And, just like in my first few years of real estate, if someone said, you need to do open houses, I did them. If you need to call for sale by owners, I did that. I wanted to try everything.
Yeah.
With the team thing for me, whenever I actually put pen to paper, the numbers never made sense to me
Right.
with what I could see. I
Right.
mean, I know what we make
Mm-hmm.
and you can do any kind of math in your head based on production and divide it by people. So for myself, I never understood the numbers because I was so profitable at that point.
Right.
It was just me.
Did you ever feel like even when you reached that high level of production, those questions started to come up? Did you feel like you couldn't handle your business yourself?
No.
So that's the other thing. Like,
Right.
you have to feel pain to make a change, right?
Right.
If you felt like you were handling the number of transactions you were doing, you almost don't need to consider that.
Yeah, I was really working like repeat and referrals. I
Yeah.
wasn't working cold leads.
Right.
So these aren't people I would have given to anybody else. They're all
Right.
people I knew.
Right. That's the tricky part too. You want to build a repeat referral business, but you also then can't get a referral and be like, well, I'm going to give you to somebody else.
Right. Right.
You can't refer a
Thanks,
referral.
cousin. You're going to go work with buyer agent number 1.
Right.
So I was working my people.
Yeah.
And I just didn't see how having another agent under me was going to work.
Okay.
This is also during this time I was getting a lot. This is when the coffee dates, like year 3, 4, 5, were just really heavy. And it was a lot of younger people that had gotten in the business and immediately started on a team and didn't really know. It's almost like because they started on a team,
it was hard to figure out where to go from there.
They were so scared.
Yeah.
And I couldn't relate because I just never went that route.
Right, so
So
you
I
didn't know
never
the difference.
No.
Yeah, it might have been easier those first 3 years.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it could very well have been. And so I was hearing on these coffee dates of people that were no longer happy on a team.
They weren't selling you on the idea.
No, I didn't.
And thinking of being a team leader, then you're having to picture yourself trying to keep these people going.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard enough to keep your clients happy.
Right.
So for
right.
me to think about keeping other agents happy as well as my clients happy, it sort of becomes a second job.
It is a second job. It doesn't sort of become a second job. It is the question of, yeah, sure, maybe you could be more profitable. Maybe you could grow a business that you could step out of, but you really have to think through all the motivation of that because now you have to manage people.
Yes.
And if you don't like managing people or you don't feel confident managing people, you're taking on you're wearing another hat in your business that you maybe are not going to be good at.
For example, I had someone meet with me that was on a team of 4.
Okay.
Okay, 4 people. So they were like, you sold 15 million last year. Why wouldn't you be on a team? And I was like, well, I have done the numbers and it just doesn't make sense. And they were like, well, what do you mean? I said, okay, how much did your team do last year? Oh, well, we did 20 million. Okay, great. Wonderful. So 20 million. So there's 4 people on the team. That makes it an average of about 5 million.
Pretty easy math.
Right. Per person. Right. And they were like, yeah. And I'm like, okay. And then when you make one, you pay your broker and then you pay your team leader. And they were like, you answered my question. But you know what it made me realize? A lot of people aren't putting pen to paper
On the numbers.
on the actual
right.
numbers. What I found on the coffee dates was they were being lured in by the appeal of leads and by having like some sure business.
Right.
Some money is better than no money.
It is.
Right. In some situations, like that's why they started there.
Yeah.
But then you have to somehow,
okay,
the safety net.
I would say this is also why the turn on a team is what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's a great place to start for a lot of people. Maybe that security of knowing where the leads are coming from is good. Maybe you need to get that, you do need to get that experience and get your, feel like you have your footing and know what to do before you just go off on your own. It's already a risky, scary career to start.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to start on a team is a nice way to kind of have someone to go to and ask those questions, to have a source of business, to have someone who can give you their systems and processes. But of course, not every team is created equal, right?
Sure.
I mean, but I do see the benefit of that. Even in dividing up I guess my point is, I can see the other side of it where the money isn't always the answer. But
Sure.
at some point, it's going to be the answer because you're running a business.
Mhm.
So maybe in the beginning, the money and give it, even if you go to a broker who has great training and does like a 50-50 split, right?
Yeah.
Not even on a team. You'd be like, well, I know I'm giving more money to my broker here than somewhere else, but I need XYZ that they're offering me.
Sure.
Right? Like
Mhm.
everything has a price.
Yeah.
So I can see, but once you get to the point where they're trying to convince you to have a team, you're like, but the numbers don't make sense because I can handle my business and it all goes into my bank account.
Right.
Right?
It's all mine.
It's all my business.
Now, in 2015, our office was kind of updating systems and technology, and we're moving into more of a like database platform online. And
Okay.
also, I'm starting to get some of my own listings. And so the paperwork component, I realized that and I didn't have kids at this point, that when Tanner was working nights, I would just open my computer and I could spend hours on there just catching up on getting used to some of this admin stuff.
Yeah.
So that at that point, 2015, 2016, I
Mhm.
started being like, okay, maybe it's time for an assistant
Yeah.
to help with some of this stuff.
Mhm.
And there was another agent in my office who was feeling the same way. We were kind of at the same level with everything. So we decided that we could share one to give them, because I thought, But in reality, I maybe have 4 hours of work a week. No one's going to want that
Right.
little bit.
Do you know, I was looking in my email before we started recording, and you and I and the agent you're talking about and another agent in my office went to lunch, and y'all were asking us questions about how we had hired our assistant.
Isn't that funny?
And I sent you a list of questions for an assistant. This is way before the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I just thought that was hilarious.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we all four of us went to lunch because I was about to get to this too. At some point, you're going to need help, right?
Yeah.
Depending on your life circumstances, your volume, whatever it is, at some point, you're just not going to be able to do it all alone. Now,
Right.
unless you have a great admin in your office that's doing maybe like all the transaction coordinating or like taking on more. But if you're in a place where you're pretty much in charge of all that paperwork,
Right.
it gets to be a bit much.
Mhm.
Okay, so how did you decide how many hours to hire the assistant for since you're splitting them?
Yeah, so she and the other agent and I kind of wrote down the things that we would need done each week.
Okay.
Some things are done every week no matter what, and then some things it's like as needed. Like
Right.
some weeks are just going to be busier than others. It's the nature of the business. So we kind of put it together, and we had some newer agents in the office that were kind of struggling, that needed some money and to learn while they
Yeah.
were getting started in their own business. So we went through 3 pretty quickly.
Yeah.
3 different people.
It just wasn't a fit.
It just wasn't. Here's what I found though. Everyone was excited because at that point, I have kind of made a name for myself with like doing a lot of volume. So people were like, I could learn.
Yeah.
But they learned that it's not glamorous.
It's work.
It's work.
It's work.
And 2-3 weeks in, the excitement
They were
was
like, I don't want to do all
gone.
this work.
They're like, this is no fun. Like, this is not glamorous work.
Right.
And it's not. It's tedious. That's why I wanted to hire it out.
Right. We needed help.
When I hired my first assistants, I kind of grouped them all together because they were
like in a row.
Yeah.
They were like, nope, that didn't
nobody
work.
lasted. But my goal was if the client is there, I am there.
Right.
The client doesn't even need to know about them.
Yeah.
They're just there handling my admin, reminding me about deposits checks, gathering receipts but 5 days before closing, labeling all of my paperwork.
Right.
They were not involved with the client at all. My goal was to be the walking billboard for myself.
Yeah.
Be at every showing, inspection, and that's really not that hard to do. And every time I did that, I was deepening my relationship with my client.
Yeah.
Which only led to repeat and
right.
referral
You
business.
have to be there in order to build a relationship.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, because I was getting people, team leaders on other teams telling me, why are you still attending your own home inspections? You have outgrown that.
No, they're like, you can be out lead generating. I'm like, I am. I'm kind to my clients and they give me leads.
Right. I am. I love that.
I mean, like, that's it. Like, I show up and we have a conversation and it's fun for me, fun for them. And then they remember me when it's time to refer someone.
Yes. And then they give me leads.
It's not freaking rocket science.
Yes. Here's the thing. It's so simple that it blew their mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was just kind of experiencing a lot of that. So 2017 comes along and I have Haven and I have no assistant at this point. And I was panicking first time. How am I ever going to do this? So what I did was I got my 3 best friends in the office and I said, I don't know what I'm going to need, but as things come in, would you be okay being kind of on call between the 3 of you? And they were like, yes, that we want to help you. We're so excited. And I kind of, as a new person came in, based it on where the house was located. Is it near? Who is it near?
Yeah.
And personality. Who would be a better fit for them? And sometimes I just paid them per task.
Yeah.
Sometimes they wouldn't let me pay them per task, depending what it was. Like, no, I'm helping you because you just had a baby. Sometimes they would take the client and that I had never met and just get them to the closing table and send me a referral fee.
Right.
Or sometimes I had already been working with the client and they were ready to just make an offer and I would pay the other agent a referral fee.
Right.
So it just kind of worked out.
You have to just play it by ear.
Yeah, and it wasn't hard.
No, it wasn't. Right.
It just worked out.
You're like, this works.
It did.
But you didn't get one person. There were 3.
3 on call.
I mean, that's so that.
But none of them ever got very busy.
Right.
Looking back on it, one person might have gotten busy.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I was only gone like 3 or 4 months.
Right.
So
It's not that long.
and I was sneaking out doing certain appointments because I wanted to get out the house. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, let me please wash my hair and get makeup on and
Right,
leave
go
this
do
place
this.
and feel useful.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was also I started going back sooner than I should have because not really, just because I wanted to. Like I was ready
Go
to
back when you want to.
take an hour out of the house and go on
Yeah.
a listing appointment and talk to grown-ups about real estate and remind myself that
Totally fine.
I understand this.
Right.
I understand this. I don't understand how to make the baby stop crying, but
Right.
I understand this.
I can do this.
Yeah, so
this I am good at.
And then I came home refreshed,
There you go.
you know?
Hey, Alyssa.
Hey, Katie.
What do we mention almost every episode?
Email templates.
You're right, we sure do. And after every time we mention an email template, do you know what we get?
Emails asking if they can have copies of the email template.
Can you send me a copy of that template? I have never
Sure.
had one like that. That sounds great. And you know what the good news is?
What?
You can get all of our email templates from our course, Email Templates 101. Tell the people about it.
Our course has all of the email templates you would need to send to your buyers and your sellers and your clients that are buying and selling at the same time
Exactly.
to get through every step of the transaction and giving them information that they need for where they are in the transaction.
It's great because you never forget to tell them something.
Yes, and we've already done all the work for you.
Yeah.
We wrote them and
Yeah.
you can personalize them
Yes.
and just feel organized knowing that you have all the information where it needs to be.
And if you purchase Email Templates 101, you do get lifetime access. So occasionally we like to go in and make updates based on the market or if we find a new best practice and we put that right into the template and you get that updated straight away.
It just goes straight to your course.
Yep. Right, it's just there.
amazing.
It's
just
already in there.
It's just
already
there.
in there. You don't even have to worry about it. We'll
That's
send you
wonderful.
an email and we'll say updated.
That's great. Where can they find these email templates?
You can find the email templates at emailtemplates101.com.
Emailtemplates101.com.
Yes, head over for reviews and all of the specifics.
Wonderful.
Okay, enjoy.
Okay, so let me talk about my assistant journey then. So I went to the Remax in 2006, totally solo, on my own, right? I think that somewhere around 2012, so that's 6 whole years where
Yeah.
I didn't consider an assistant. I'm just working, just doing it. But around 2012, another agent in my office and myself, who just like to, partner on things, talk about stuff, whatever, we decided to split an assistant for a specific task. We both wanted to grow our websites
Oh.
and develop more SEO search capabilities, so search engine optimization. And so we decided to go to LSU to the
Okay.
marketing department and look for an intern. And we were going to give the intern like 10-ish hours a week, but they would be doing the same task just on 2 different websites.
Sure.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
They would build out all of these SEO pages for each of us. And we found someone and that went fine for a while. An intern doesn't last a long time.
No,
Like
yeah.
it's not meant to. It's meant to last a semester. Then they move on. They got college credit
Great.
for doing that.
Yeah.
So that was a really great tool to use in the very beginning because we did pay her, but she was also getting class credit. And so it was a big win-win. So that was 2012 with the first assistant. Then we got another one, kind of did the same thing, started to add tasks.
From the intern program?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think only twice did I get one from there. And it worked out fine. They weren't like taking a lot off my plate otherwise, but they were doing a task I didn't have time that I wanted to add to my business.
Right.
Right. Okay. Now, this is where it gets fuzzy for me. I don't know how long, and there was a few like in and out that I don't even remember their names. Okay. Then I kind of went through a period where I didn't have someone. And in 2016, in 2014, so 2 years after that, another agent and myself split an assistant. It was someone she knew in her sphere, like they were in college. It was not through the intern program. And she was with us for several years.
Did she was licensed?
No.
Not licensed.
She was finishing up her degree in public relations.
Mm.
Shout out Rebecca. I'll just tell y'all. So Rebecca came to us. She knew, this other agent personally. She comes to us. She's our assistant for 2014, 2015. I believe she got her license at the end of 2015. Okay. So she was just our assistant. She's getting her degree in public relations. She's planning a career in that field. And after being with us over this year or so, she decided to get her license. Okay. So this is when I accidentally became a team.
Okay.
Okay. I did not decide today I'm going to start a team.
Okay.
And we will go and we will find some agents to be on the team. No.
Yeah.
I had a friend in my office who for years, even before that assistant, we would call ourselves a faux team. Okay. We're not really a team. We're not splitting any money. We're not sharing any expenses. We're kind of like accountability partners, right?
Sure.
Meet up at the office, talk about stuff. Then we ended up sharing this assistant. Fine. But we're not a team. Okay. Faux team.
Yeah.
Then our assistant goes and decides she wants to become an agent. And we're like, well, I mean, we do have these leads and things we would like to send to some. So you'll just be our buyer's agent.
Okay.
Okay. So accidental team. And it wasn't structured exactly like a normal team. Basically, I had my business. The other agent, my friend, had her business. Our buyer's agent would then do some of our leads and give us basically a referral, like a different split.
So she's working her own business, trying to get started as a new realtor.
Correct.
And then you would give her some leads. And if she closed one of your leads,
she paid me a certain split.
You
right. If she closed one of her leads, she paid me a lower split. Okay.
So if she went out and got her own business,
she made more money.
But she still paid you something if she sold
something because we were incurring her franchise fees.
Oh, I see.
So we in that way it was semi-regularly team structured. We were basically shielding her from having to pay those monthly fees because it is not normal for a brand new agent to go to Remax. Okay?
Right.
There are fees.
Sure.
And you're not making any money. So we paid the fees, which meant we got a cut of whatever she did for a while. And honestly, when I went to go check these dates, I was pleasantly surprised, but she got her license at the end of 2015. She didn't leave the team vibe, our team. She didn't stop being my buyer's agent until 2019.
Wow.
The beginning. So it was 3 years.
Yeah.
3 years we had this team kind of dynamic.
What kind of leads would you give her?
The online leads from all the SEO searches that my previous agent, my previous assistant had built. Okay. Right. So they were online, or I don't know that I was still paying for online leads at that time, but I was getting online leads. Okay. So people I did not know.
Right.
Sometimes people in an area I couldn't or didn't want to service. But I mean, she would get those and she did great.
Yeah, I remember.
It was fine. We loved her. But when she stopped being my assistant and she started being the buyer's agent, then I had to get another assistant because I didn't want to get rid of my assistant. They were doing things for me at that point, more than just website work. They were doing other stuff. So in 2016, so we're now talking 10 years deep into my career, was the first and only time I had a full-time assistant for me.
Do I know who this is?
Yes, my friend Andrea. I don't know if you know her.
I don't. Okay.
Andrea was pure delight. I just used Indeed.com. I got resumes. I did interviews. She was phenomenal.
Not a realtor.
No, she was a full-time at like 32 hours a week. So
for you?
For me, just me. She was amazing. She did mailers and computer work and bought closing gifts. And she set up my LLC. She did she helped me get like all of my systems and processes kind of like in place and honed out. Like things really got very systematized once she was around.
That's great.
So great. Well, she was too good. I knew it. I could feel it coming because I'm paying, $10 an hour? I'm like, this will never last. She's so good. Such a self-starter. Like, always in the office, getting things done, looking for something else to do, cleaning out my file. Like, it's just amazing. Just amazing. Well, 6 months later, she got what I'm going to call a real job.
Yeah.
She got a better job, okay?
Sure.
She got a better job. She moved on, and I was so sad. But a lot of the things that we put in place then set my business to run on its own.
That's great.
After her, my friend in the office and I went back to splitting an assistant.
Okay.
Okay. So the one who we're sharing this buyer's agent now, then we went back to sharing an assistant.
Okay.
And she would just do kind of like, the mix of stuff. And
Mhm.
she lasted 9 months.
Okay.
After that one, so that's the 2017. So after that, I've never since had an assistant.
I know.
Because once you get an email template,
Right.
once you know your systems and processes, my kids were getting older, my business was easy for me to control. I did have a friend in the office who, if I was going on vacation or was sick or something, somebody could help me.
Mhm.
But again, it wasn't ever super formal. Other than when we had our buyer's agent, there was obviously some money to
But y'all
figure
weren't
out there.
like Team
We were
Katie.
still running 2 businesses.
Y'all each had your own. Did y'all
we-
ever take a team photo?
Never. Maybe at an event or something, but
Right,
never
right. This is our
branding
team.
photos. No.
You know what makes me when we were preparing for this episode, we called a few people that have teams to
right.
just ask some questions and get some context for things. And I thought it was funny because one of them mentioned, yeah, we have to take a monthly team photo because the turnover, it's always
it's
different.
changing.
It's always
Always
changing. The
changing.
bigger the team, the more likely
But
that
a
you're
team
rotating.
truly is a springboard for people, right?
Yeah.
Even a real estate assistant to a solo agent is just a springboard. I would never, and look, I tried it all. Maybe I need to hire a retired person. Maybe I need a stay-at-home mom who just needs to work a certain number of hours. I'm like, what can I do to keep these people around forever? But the actual answer to that question that nobody wants to say out loud is you just have to pay them more money.
I know.
That's the only way you'll ever get an assistant, a buyer's agent, a whatever that you want to stay forever.
Right.
They better be making enough money to make it enticing for them to stay.
Sure.
Because no one is going to stay for years and years and years and not eventually realize I could be making more money by doing the exact same things on my own.
Right.
Unless you just love your team so much and you want to eat lunch with them all that. But you start to realize it's a job.
Yeah.
It's a business. And if I'm not making decisions that make the business more profitable, I'm not a very good business owner.
Right. And I think that's where I always got hung up. And maybe it was the MBA in me making an actual profit loss statement and seeing if you divide it up and if you're always hiring, it's divided again. And, it just for me personally never made sense because, and I even had a team leader say, oh, you 100% are probably more profitable than me.
Okay.
But he genuinely had a desire to be a leader.
Right.
He wanted
he
wanted to manage agents
and train and mentor and grow. And a lot of times then that's when I was about to say the same thing. There's a thing that happens in a team if you're the team leader that can be fulfilling for you in a way that money is not, right?
Correct.
You're growing people, you're helping them get better. And at the end of the day, though, then my business brain wants to merge with that brain and be like, then why don't you have your own brokerage?
Right.
Because you get that same grow the people, grow the team, give that mentorship vibe. And you might actually be able to have the business benefits.
Sure.
So I still don't know the answer to that question yet. It's something I'm currently
That'll be one of our questions for one of our team interviews.
I would love to interview a broker of a small firm that basically operates like a team versus a team leader at a large franchise. I would love to hear the pros and cons of both.
Right. Why wouldn't the Alyssa team
just be Alyssa Brokerage?
Yes. Alyssa Jenkins Realty.
Right. I mean, the broker shields you from some liability, but at the same time, I'm like, what is that worth dollars wise?
Right. And that's why I actually just had a client ask me if I was ever going to start my own brokerage. And I said, no, because I want to be a realtor. And I like the community of an office.
Yeah.
But also if the split works.
Right.
And you're getting value, if I started my own brokerage at this point today, I would lose my admin at my office. That is just included in my office. I would have to pay for that now. I would have to pay for signs and lock boxes and all the things that I'm given, I would now have to pay for and manage it. And at the end of the day, I don't want to recruit because I want to work with clients because
Yeah.
that's my personality. So for me, I don't ever see it being Alyssa Jenkins Realty
No.
because to me, it's a totally different
That's a different job.
job.
It's
Yeah.
a different job.
Like, I think if my goal was, I have friends in real estate who have said, my goal is to not sell real estate one day.
Right.
I just want to manage the office or manage the team.
Right.
That's never been my desire because
Right.
I would rather manage a client than manage a team personally.
You can get rid of a client.
I was just about to say, if you think about it,
it's over. It's
clients rotate. They come, they go. Sometimes you have a 3-month relationship with them, and sometimes you have a 6-month or 3-year relationship with them.
Yeah.
But you accomplish what you set out to do. You add them in your database. You keep in touch, but it's over.
Yeah.
Whereas the team, it's the same. One thing about real estate that I liked too, with the freedom that you can have in it, is that if you wanted to go on vacation every other month or even every month, your client doesn't realize that.
No, because they're probably gone already.
Right.
They're only there for one vacation at best.
Right. Yes. Yes. Like, you have this freedom there because it's always rotating.
Okay, I have a really interesting question and thought for you now.
Okay.
That just came to me. Do you think that it is a natural progression in the life and the heart of a realtor if they are let's just say they're solo and they grow and they get good and they feel confident and they're like just coasting along, doing well, everything's working? Do you think that it is just a natural desire then to grow other people and mentor other people? Because although you don't want to have a team and manage people, that is exactly what this podcast is.
Yes.
So is it just an internal thing that happens to an agent and they're like, must help others?
I think anybody who has some goodness in their heart wants to help others in some capacity.
So you're just doing it on a different platform.
Right. It started off as coffee dates that got out of control to more of a platform that is readily available to people that they can just tune in by topic.
Yeah. Right.
And they're categorized on our episode. On our website, if you need to go find a certain episode about a certain topic.
I mean, in that way, I empathize and can understand what is the draw of being a team leader or a broker. Like, you do get that fulfillment out of helping the next line of people that are coming along.
But I personally don't want to commit to feeding their family.
Right.
That is where
you can listen to the podcast or not listen to the podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know how you're doing in your job.
But the pressure of me as your leader having to provide for you and your family is too much for me.
Right.
I'm providing for me and my family, and I can hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be accountable for anybody else's well-being.
Yeah.
It's too much pressure for me.
Yeah.
I do think, though, that the public who maybe doesn't, and even some newer realtors, this was me until I understood that they think the natural path of success is solo agent, then you become a team, and then you become your own company.
Right. That's the ladder.
That's the ladder
of real estate, right?
Yes. But to me, like, to us, we know that's not necessarily true.
I just think there are multiple ways to go through the business.
Right.
There is no right way.
We have top producing agents in my office. Gosh, they've made more money than I could ever dream about, and they've never had a team or their own company. They run a solo business of one.
Right.
And I think that's where that's where I'm going to fall.
Yeah. I think that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point. It's all okay.
Yeah. What's best for you?
What works for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else about your solo journey? Do you ever feel lonely? I mean, I feel like the topic of loneliness would have come up, but I don't. No.
And I think that even when I was solo, without any assistant or anything, I was always involved in our board. I was very involved in the office. one of the reasons I liked the coffee dates and I like the podcast is because it keeps me sharp.
Yeah.
I'm talking about these things. I'm talking
Right.
about systems and staying organized so much that it just happens.
Oh, my business is far easier 3 years into this.
I know. I would say so too. People are like, "How do you have time to do a podcast?" And I'm like, "I'm telling you, it helps me."
Yeah, because we're we're talking to ourselves
Right.
most of the time. Like,
Right.
do this, you need to do this. Like, I feel like I hold myself way better accountable to a boundary or a system or a like
Mhm.
anything we've talked about on the show. I'm like, well, cleaning out my email, whatever. Like, we're just constantly reinforcing it to ourselves. We're just letting other people listen.
And you know what's funny?
What?
I shared a funny text message between me and a client on my Instagram a few days ago.
Mhm.
And more than one person messaged and was like, "Oh, look at you texting." Number 1. And number 2, they said, "Oh, look at you texting at 8:30 in the morning."
Like 8:30.
And I'm like,
That
"Yeah.
seems okay.
Yeah. Yeah." But when we recorded our morning routine episode, it was when Haven was still in daycare. She had not started kindergarten. And at that time when we were recording that
Kids
episode,
were home until 9.
kids were home until 9. And so
Yeah.
my day when we recorded that episode started at 9.
Right.
And so now
It's not 9.
it's not 9. And it's, I dropped them off at 7:45 and I started 8.
right.
And so now that's what we do.
Yeah.
But I just thought it was funny because
They're like, they're going to hold you accountable.
yeah, to what I say, what I say.
Mhm.
Okay, now I did stop at 2016 where the assistants weren't working out.
Okay, well, please keep going.
And then in 2017, Haven came along. I had friends help me through that.
Mhm.
In 2018, we had a extended family reunion.
Okay.
Most people don't know this. That
I don't know that I know this. I'm like, what is this?
we had an extended family reunion. And at that family reunion, my second cousin, who I have known my whole life, I only ever saw.
Oh my God. Can I interject here?
Yeah.
I'm thinking a long time. You mean your extended family? Like
Oh, yeah.
like
yeah.
a lot of family.
A family reunion with
I-
extended family.
I thought you meant
like a
this-
3-week long.
I'm like, Alyssa, what kind of
family
reunion lasts
No, my
for a long
family's
time?
tight, and that's probably something we would do, but no.
Okay,
we did not.
Please keep going.
It was that family.
The extended family was present.
The extended family was present. The ones that you only see every other Christmas were there.
Okay.
So he came up to me and he said, "My wife wants to talk to you about real estate, but she's scared." And I was like, "Don't tell her not to be scared. Where is she?" So she's like, "Hi, I'm Whitney."
Right.
And what's funny is Whitney and I favor each other. And so when we work together, people ask, "Are y'all sisters? Are y'all related?"
Right.
And I'm like, "Well, we are technically somewhat related, but because she married
Not by blood.
Right. Like I had never met her and they had kids. Like they had been married a long time. We were extended enough that I don't think I didn't go to their wedding.
Right.
Like I had never met her at all.
Okay.
In this capacity that I can remember.
Right.
So we talked a little bit at the family reunion and then we scheduled lunch.
Okay.
And then I told my friend in the office, "Hey, I think she wants to get into real estate. She's been a stay-at-home mom, but her kids are in school, but she needs to have some sort of income, okay?"
Yeah.
And so why don't we have her be our assistant?
Mm-hmm.
I know we kind of let that go
Right,
when
let's
we
try
had 3
again.
fails.
Right.
So we hired her and shared her,
Mm-hmm.
but then she became just my assistant.
Right.
But the goal was she was licensed.
Right.
The goal was that she was going to become a successful realtor and
Yeah.
she was going to work under me and I was going to pay her a hourly sum plus any overflow leads that I got. I didn't have any internet leads or anything to give her, but sign calls or people that wanted to look further than I was willing to go at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And she stayed with me for 4 years.
Right.
And it wasn't until this year, 2023,
Mm-hmm.
that she is solo
Yeah.
and we share an office still. So her desk was always in my office.
Mm-hmm.
And our broker likes to pair us. It's a big room. Well,
Mhm.
not that big, but it has 4 desks in it.
Okay.
And our broker likes to pair us with people based on how much you're in the office. So if you're in the office all the time, she's not going to put you with somebody else that's in the office all the time.
Right, 'cause
She
it's
wants you to have your
distracting.
space and
Yeah.
your privacy. But Whitney was always, her desk was in my room because we were working together.
Okay.
And so it's funny because now we're just
Working
friends.
solo.
We're just friends working solo, and it's
Mhm.
working out.
Okay.
And we hired a new assistant
Yep.
that does about 15 hours a week for me. When
Yeah.
Whitney went solo, I got a new assistant that works for me 15 hours a week.
Right. And the rest of the time works for the podcast.
And for the rest of the time works for the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's working out very well.
Works out really well.
But Whitney was the first, I mean, it just worked. She was willing to work. She didn't mind doing the dirty work.
Right.
She was like, please don't ever make me do a BMA again or I will quit. That was the only thing she really hated.
I would quit too.
I know, it's terrible.
It's so
for any
bad.
relocation properties. But anyways, it just worked out. And then I got to see her become her own person and become her own realtor. And so it just worked out.
It's lovely. It's nice seeing that person become successful and be good at the business.
Mhm.
That's how I felt about Rebecca. She moved on to a different office, but she's very successful, and I feel like I had a hand in that. Like,
yeah, it's great.
that's lovely.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I am a solo agent right now.
Yep.
I have an assistant that
Mhm.
works 15 hours a week.
Licensed.
Licensed assistant. I was trying to think if she hasn't had to do too much that would require her to be licensed.
Yeah.
Every now, like, I don't know, not much.
Right,
Because I still do my own showings. I go
Right.
to my inspections.
Because you're still trying to be face in front of your client.
Right. If they are there,
You're there.
I'm there.
Right.
But I like my time off.
Right.
So I don't, if I'm not doing like the best thing, which is being face to face with the client, I don't want to do a lot of the other things.
Yeah.
The admin and the paperwork and all that. So that's why she's there.
Yep.
And it's just been really nice.
Love that.
Mhm.
There's, when they say there's 2 ways to skin a cat.
Oh.
like there's just so many different ways you can structure your business.
Yeah.
And it can change. You're
Mhm.
never stuck.
Mm-hmm.
We did talk to someone who's had a team, not had a team, been back to the team, not like
Back and forth.
started
back and forth.
on a team,
Trying to figure
then
it
made
out.
their own team.
Yeah.
Like, look, you can go a lot of different ways.
And of the people that we chatted with before this episode, you know what we found was the number one mistake? I wrote it down because you said it in the first 5 minutes of this episode.
What was it?
You said when you first started real estate, there wasn't really a lot of teams. But once you got to where you had too much business,
Yep.
that is when you started a team
Yeah.
then. And I think that is true now, is that if you cannot handle your business, it may be time.
And they say you always start with an admin.
Right.
You don't start with another agent.
Right. Like
Always start with an admin.
Ease into it
Well, right.
slowly and build your team to fit the business that you have.
Yep.
Because what we learned from talking to several people is that the team model failed more often and has more turnover when you are always hiring before you have the business ready to go for them.
And it's hard because you have to think about real estate as a cyclical business, and not every market is the same.
Mm-hmm.
You might have taken on a bunch of agents during 2021, 2022 when it was so busy. And now as the market shifts and things outside of your control slow it down, you start to have to let those people go. Then you get desperate. You have to buy more online leads so you can keep feeding them. Like what's going to happen?
So I saw that there is obviously a direct correlation with when online leads became popular, teams became popular. You're paying for leads. You can't work them all. I need to hire. But remember, cold leads, online leads, and we have a whole episode about this. It's the hardest business you can possibly work.
Yeah.
If you had to structure your business into like hardest to easiest, it starts with a cold internet lead all the way up to someone you know, like, and love that has sent you a referral or wants to work with you.
Right.
And so listening back on that episode on cold leads, but that's the thing. you're trying to build this team on the hardest source of business.
Right.
And so that's why as online leads became
Right.
available, teams started being built on that.
Right.
I wonder how many teams there are out there that do not pay for any online leads.
I would love to I'm going to take a look through our market again and really think about it. I would love to look at how many traditional teams there are. The rainmaker style team. The top the top of the team leader is a listing agent.
Right.
They take a lot of listings, and as such they have sign calls, whatever kind of leads come online from those listings. They have leads that come from their production of business, and that's what they feed to their buyers' agents. That's how it was.
Right.
That business model works.
It does.
It continues to work because a team leader who is a listing producer is going to, as their business, like your business grows exponentially, right?
Right.
And let's just assume they're working repeat referral. Every year they get more repeat referral from the listings that they've worked with. And so they might have to keep growing their team every year
Yeah.
because they keep getting more listings and they have all of these leads as a result.
Right.
I mean, I do think there's probably, and we're going to let this go after this, there's probably some hybrid part of that. You see a lot of agents now who ask other agents if they can share their listings
Mhm.
in an order to get some, I guess, buyer leads, right?
Sure.
Like you're going to utilize the list. It's just the same principle as having a real estate website where you put the IDX feed on there and you get all the listings are there. And then maybe you're going to grab some people off the internet yourself
Mhm.
by way of using other people's listings.
Sure.
Back in the way day before the online, before the World Wide Web even existed,
Mhm.
the Rainmaker knew people, they listed houses, they needed agents to help them with the calls.
Correct.
Literal sign calls.
Yes.
That's it.
That's it.
That was the end of the deal. And an open house.
Yeah.
So again, there's a lot of ways to do it. I'm fascinated by the topic.
Me too. Well, you and I are very simple.
Mm-hmm.
We are looking for simplicity, freedom,
Right. Yeah.
vacation,
I just
time off.
And I can control me.
Yeah, I can control me too.
I can control
Yeah.
me. I know what I am going to do today. I can be disappointed in myself or happy with myself, but at the end of the day, I like me and I'm okay with how I did my job.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about who's representing me.
Mm-hmm.
It's just me.
Sure.
I know what I'm going to do
Mm-hmm.
most of the time.
Right. Right.
All right. Are you good? Did we get your whole journey?
I think so.
It's they all have twists and turns and changes.
They do.
Okay. Now I'm nervous because we listened to the pronunciation of this name.
Casey.
Okay, thanks. All right, so here's our toast, everybody. It's a long one, so strap in. Courtney Kaufman is toasting to Casey Kretschel.
Yep.
What was her? The open house girl.
The open house girl.
On all of her videos, she starts.
We were trying to watch her videos on Instagram to see if she was Casey or Cassie.
Right.
But she wouldn't say her name. She said, "Hey, y'all, it's the open house girl."
I love that she was branded so...
she was branded well. We had to go back pretty far to find a video where she said her name.
Right. So consistently. But Casey.
No, Casey.
Casey. God
Yeah.
bless it. Casey and Courtney are in Eureka, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Courtney says, my toast is for my mentor business partner,
Casey.
Casey. After a decade in the healthcare setting, I left to pursue a career in real estate, and the change was terrifying to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
I have now had my license for a little over a year, and am so proud of all I have accomplished. My brokerage does not have a mentoring program, but right away, Cassie, who...
Casey.
Casey?
Casey.
God
Do you,
bless
do
it,
I
I
need to read
can't do
this?
it. You might need to. Casey, I'm so sorry, who also came to real estate from the healthcare field, reached out and invited me to coffee. We immediately clicked, and she has been an amazing resource, teacher, support system, and source of confidence for me. In addition to all that, we are getting ready to launch our very own nonprofit,
Aw.
Keys to Change, that will provide housing and education grants to those in the helping professions. Think ancillary healthcare staff, early childhood educators, entry-level teaching, nursing staff, EMTs, etc.,
That's so cool.
that don't meet some of the income requirements for government assistance, but
Mhm.
still don't really make enough to get ahead and are in extremely high demand jobs. We recently had a weekend getaway to plan out 2023, and I can't wait to see what we accomplished in both real estate and keys to change.
I love that.
I introduced her to this podcast, and I love being able to discuss our takeaways from each week's episode when we meet Tuesday mornings.
I love that.
I love that.
That's really sweet.
So thank you so much to Courtney. Cheers to
Casey.
Casey. Why?
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, everyone. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go to ratethispodcast.com/hustlehumbly and leave us a review or drop a comment if you're listening on Spotify.
If you have an episode topic or someone you'd like to toast on the show, please email us at team@hustlehumblypodcast.com.
Find us on social media at Hustle Humbly Podcast. Don't forget to find all of the free resources at hustlehumblypodcast.com/resources.
See you next week.
This is the good life.